The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Honourable members, the question now is that vote ACC stand part of the schedule. I call the honourable member Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's a pleasure and honour to be recognised in such a way. Mr. Chairman, as we all know, ACC is a very vital institution to the well-being and the livelihood of this great country of ours. It contributes enormously and it is a key part of the productivity of this country. Every wage and salary earner contributes to it, every business contributes to it, every owner of a motor vehicle contributes to it. It is a very vital institution in this country. This House appropriates around about $1 billion a year for it in this current financial year, both for the non-earners account and also to fund the work that the Department of Labour does in terms of what was the Department of Labour, now a division of the Ministry of various other things under Stephen Joyce, for the policy support work that it does on ACC policy. And so, because of the importance of ACC in New Zealand, the need for careful stewardship cannot be understated and underestimated. And so the question has to be asked is, why is it that this government has made such an almighty hash of this vital institution? We all know it started with the previous minister, who will go down in New Zealand's history as the worst minister for ACC in the entirety of the life of that institution. He ran it in such a way that he has fleeced New Zealanders of $5 billion or more over 3 years, ran down the quality of the service of ACC, led a culture of disentitlement that this minister, the present minister, has had now to try to fix up. And the question now will be, looking ahead, is this minister and the measures that she has put in place up to the job of restoring confidence in ACC? Up to now, we've had the massive levies. They had to be cut because this government was so embarrassed about the size of them. And we've had the number of reviews and appeals been applied for by claimants shot up. The proportion of cases lost by ACC shot up, because the truth is that the previous minister, the previous administration, couldn't care less about what happened to ACC claimants until Bronwyn Puller came along. And then the previous minister showed an interest in ACC that hitherto had not been shown. It was his old mate, Bronwyn Puller, and he intervened. And it was a bit like an episode of Undercover Boss, where in a large organisation, the boss descends from on high, finds one problem with one person and fixes that problem, but forgets that there are systemic problems throughout the organisation. And so he did such a fantastic job that when the government was re-elected, he had to resign as a consequence. That's the successful performance of the previous minister with this institution. But the truth is that that privacy breach, massive privacy breach, was symptomatic of much deeper problems in ACC. There was a total failure of service and support to so many claimants, particularly those who were long-term claimants, who had serious conditions, who needed the attention of ACC. And it has led to a meltdown of catastrophic proportions. And what have we seen? We've seen a chair of ACC go. We've seen the CEO go. We've seen 3 directors of ACC, and they don't have that many. They've gone. And we now have 3 separate inquiries, 2 by the Privacy Commissioner, 1 by the Auditor General, into this once fine institution. Public confidence in ACC has been totally shattered. And it is entirely because of a failure of political leadership. The fact that so many people at the governance level have left ACC is, in my view, Mr. Chairman, a stunning vote of no confidence in this minister. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt. She has set out a new plan. There is a new service and purchase agreement with this minister that she herself has signed last month. And let's just have a look at it. Priority number 1 for ACC in the period ahead. Priority number 1 is improved trust and confidence. And then let's have a look at the detail of that. Improved trust and confidence, demand for a culture change. And it says ACC will invest in ensuring quality leadership of the corporation through increasing management capability and training. The investment will aim to facilitate a real culture change with ACC, resulting in better management of relationships. And what is the measure for this improvement? What is the measure for this lifting public trust and confidence? Quality leadership will be measured by an increase in the number of managers who participate in management and leadership training modules. That's the measure. Not about the number of complaints that go to the ACC's internal complaints office, not about the number of reviews and appeals that they face because people have had bad decisions made about them, but Mr. Chairman.
I call the honourable member Andrew Little.
But the number of training exercises that the management have been on. And so what is the answer going to be to a claimant who is deprived of their just entitlements in the scheme? We've declined you, but goodness me, don't complain, because the person who declined you went on a training management training regime just recently. Well, that's not an answer. That is not about lifting quality. There is no measure in the service and purchase agreement that is about measuring what actually matters to people who use ACC, and that is the quality of support and service that they are getting. And what else have we got? Vocational rehabilitation and home care. Under this minister, a whole new arrangement has been entered into, a procurement arrangement for vocational rehabilitation and home care. A contract has been let for the management and coordination of vocational rehabilitation. And the largest contract has gone to, would you believe it, an Australian company to manage ACC vocational rehabilitation. Another Australian company, 30% of ACC's vocational rehabilitation is going to be managed now by an Australian company. And the way it works is this. ACC decided that 12% of the cost of vocational rehabilitation is tied up in management. So they are going to give that to the Australian contractor, at least the 30% of the business that they've got. That is going to come out of the back pockets of the service providers who are stretched enough as it is, and ultimately the price will be paid by those who look to ACC for vocational rehabilitation. It'll be paid through fewer visits and less service and support by those providers. So much for the culture change, so much for improving public trust and confidence in ACC. What else have we got? We've got the Cabinet decision made in October last year on the eve of the election to expand the accredited employer program. This is the private part of ACC. We don't hear much about it. It's got its own problems. But under this minister, we have a plan by this government to expand it. And the complaints we're getting about the accredited employer scheme is that HR managers are intervening in decisions about healthcare and treatment and rehabilitation that are properly the province of medical providers. What else have we got? Spending on injury prevention. It's been going down steadily under this government and expected to go down more in the year ahead. And then what about this? ACC, more than $20 billion of funds under management, expected to have an ethical investment regime. And what do we see them investing in? They are a 30% investor in the private company now set up to build and run Wirri Prison. ACC is an investor in the Wirri Prison. Now, how is it that an institution that is set up to provide care and support for those who are injured, those who are victims of accidents, finds itself investing in locking up people, removing their liberty, penalising and punishing them? That's not part of ACC's remit. That's not part of their mandate. And so I say to this House, Mr Chairman, that this minister who is called upon to restore public trust and confidence, if the current plan is anything to go by, simply is not capable of doing it. Restoring public trust and confidence is not going to be measured by what we know is written in the plans for ACC in the year and years ahead. And that is the appalling thing about it. The challenge for this government is to restore this institution to what it once was. An institution that was about giving people the support and assistance, the medical care, the medical treatment, the vocational rehabilitation that sometimes is needed for those who are victims of accidents, which is what ACC was set up about, as a part of a community partnership between people, between wage and salary earners, between business and the government. Not investors in prisons, not about cutting vocational rehabilitation and making it worse for those who need it, but an institution that we can look to again to be proud of and do the job that we expect of it.
I call the honourable member Michael Woodhouse.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. Just listening to the previous speaker,